Hello Capricorn, thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for October for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. This month gives you an awesome opportunity to raise your profile, not least because Mars, the planet of passion, on the 4th makes its way to the very top of your situation, the solar midheaven, moving into the sign of Libra. Now, Mars is very much about determination. It's a planet which is exalted in your zodiac sign, so you appreciate the drive that it gives you. And in this location, it is all about being a bit more assertive. So even if you're somebody who tends to be very hardworking, very conscientious, which are very typical Capricornian qualities, the way you chip away in a tenacious, consistent manner, Mars is going to really turbo boost your energy. But there's more than this, Capricorn, because the Sun, Venus, and initially Mercury are all in the sign of Libra as this month begins. So you have a lot of energy there, which is giving you a lot of assets in terms of the way that you can present yourself, interact with influential people, tell people about things that are important to you, be much more focused in terms of goals and ambitions. But on the 3rd, a key event occurs because Pluto in your sign, the planet of transformation, ends a backward journey which began on the 10th of April. And if you have felt inhibited at times during that period, it's possible that Pluto is very close to your Sun, or perhaps it's Saturn, your ruler, which has been influencing your prospects. But Pluto coming to the end of this retrograde is a good news story. But also key, on the 3rd, Mercury moves into a fabulous location for you to network. This month isn't just about what you know, your talent, your drive, or your ability. It's also about who you know and how you go about reaching out to others. And because Mercury goes into an almost immediate opposition with Uranus, the planet of surprises, which has been bringing a very positive dimension to your situation this year since the 7th of March, this is giving you the opportunity to be more creative in your approach. So the type of people that you can connect to may be those who in the past may have seemed a bit too left field, perhaps even rather radical, those that have a very different view of life, or perhaps it's you that's given yourself the permission to be a little bit more edgy and not be so much of a rule follower. Now, it is also true to say that from the 5th through to the 11th, the Sun in Libra is clashing with Saturn in your sign. This is quite a tricky combination, to be honest. If you're very clear about what you want to achieve in terms of those ambitions, your interactions with the wider world, or even to do with things like status, property, earnings, then it's possible that you can negotiate this aspect okay. But it's also possible that you may experience someone who is rather influential, who doesn't quite get the way that you're going about things. Your individuality, therefore, is going to be tested. And it's going to be tested by the Sun clashing with Pluto from the 11th through to the 17th, and Mars clashing with Saturn in the last 10 days of this month. So it is a case of really preparing yourself for what's ahead. The opportunity to do better is definitely there. But I do feel that you need to be crystal clear in terms of your strategy. It's also important to be realistic that life isn't always an entirely perfect process, and that sometimes politics does come in. So if you're in an environment, professionally particularly, where there are other people who may have similar aims to you, you can't expect it to all be very pleasant. There could be some rather more difficult machinations going on. So just be realistic about that in the way that you often are. But it also means that it's important to understand your tactics and how they're going to be perceived by others. Because Venus moves on the 9th into Scorpio, joining up with Mercury. And for you, this combination here is just brilliant. Venus here can bring out the more affable, sociable part of your nature. Yes, you can be a little bit diffident, especially when you were younger, but your sense of humour is one of your great gifts, and that can shine out in the latter part of this month. Venus also goes opposite to Uranus, so if you're interested in getting to know somebody new from a romantic viewpoint, again, be utterly open-minded about the type of person this can be. In an existing relationship, it is possible that the points of contact between your first house, where Saturn and Pluto are, and your 10th house, where initially the Sun, Venus and Mercury are, and then of course Mars from the 4th, suggests that perhaps something's shifted between you and yours. You might want to take more of a leading role. Perhaps the other person could resist this. On the other hand, you may be easier going, and someone may start to take a few liberties with you in terms of their expectations of you fitting in with what they want. So some kind of challenge is possible this month, and it's all going to come up to the boil on the 14th on the back of the full moon, which occurs in Aries, but it's going to be dissecting Pluto in your sign in a T-square. So if something needs to come into the open, like the give and take that goes on, particularly I think in your home and family situation, if you don't feel that your voice is being heard enough, that's when I think you're really going to speak out in the 2 weeks following then. However, there is a glorious thing that happens at the end of the first 10 days of this month, because Saturn, your ruler, has been in a jamming opposition with the point of destiny since really the start of April. And if it has felt that a relationship issue has really been a bit heavy going, I just think it can lift a little bit. Perhaps it's going to coincide with this full moon, but it may come from you being much more open about how you feel. If you are tolerating something that's not right for you, this is going to be your moment to find your voice and to tell your truth. But the Sun moves on the 24th gloriously into Scorpio. It too is going to go into an opposition with Uranus. There is a new moon on the 28th, which is going to embrace Uranus as well. But all this is really encouraging you to think about your long-term future or friendships or associations in a much more fluid and flexible way. Being as open-minded as possible, especially to new technologies or fresh approaches, or shaking up the way you do things. Just any kind of change can actually be something very positive if you can welcome it. Now, there's another standout influence that goes on all this month, which is fabulous for you personally, because Pluto is forging a brilliant angle to Jupiter for the whole of the month. And if you're able to stay in touch with your deeper needs and motivations, perhaps you can gain some guidance from some kind of way of or methodology or spiritual approach or some kind of therapy or healing approach to a situation. It could help to rejuvenate you, drive you forwards. And there could be someone who acts as some kind of spirit guide in this process. But as the month draws to a close, Mercury does slam on the brakes and goes into a retrograde. And even if you are changing things up a little bit, there may be some alterations around your friendship situation which are not so expected. But I think the key to everything at the moment is that you have such a wonderful chance to influence the process. It's just as long as you retain a good balance between what's right for you, the individual, and being fair in your interactions with others. If you get that right, I think other people can be celebrating you this month, pushing you forwards and heaping a claim on you. If you'd like to know more about personal astrology based on your time, date and place of birth, why not order your year 2020 forecast? If you get your character analysis as well, I'll give you 30% off, but also from the time you order your chart this year, I'll give you that free of charge. So you get all of next year, and from when you order it this year, free. But for now, it's been a pleasure being with you. Good luck and goodbye.